Hey guys, welcome back to the Fool's Show. Of course, I am Foolish Phil. Michigan just got beat by Maryland 71 to 65. Thought I'd share a few thoughts. If you watched this game, oh, the frustrations continued. I guess you could say pretty much Michigan shot itself in the foot after the first, well, really the whole first half. Don't get me wrong. They scored 22 points in the first half, the season low. And they had like a nice 10-0 run in that first half too, if you can believe it, to be up, I think, like 14 to 7, something like that. And from that point on, Maryland goes on a 26 to 8 run, basically somewhere in there to end the first half. It's 33 to 22. They end up being up by 11, and there are just some cool facts in this game. For one, Michigan, I believe, had two instances where they had three, maybe it was four straight turnovers consecutively. Just so great. So frustratingly annoying that this team is so sloppy and stupid with the ball. And then they can be relatively good. I gotta give credit to Maryland. They imposed their will. They played a really good 2-3 zone, and Michigan was very stagnant on offense. Alarmingly stagnant. And another factor of that is the Michigan guards could get no separation from the Maryland guards. None at all. Nothing. I mean, you see Trey or Jones or Gale going around, and there's no separation. Every single time Maryland has the ball, they are running underneath screens or whatever, and our guys are like always in a trail position. Always. Michigan never can do that. Their guys just are not long. Their guys are not quick enough. At least not against Maryland. It was a terrible matchup in that way. And Maryland exploited it really, really well. So the first half, Michigan just played like trash. The first half, right? Only scored 22 points in 20 minutes of basketball. How pathetic is that? Second half, it stayed about 9, 10 points, 11 points for most of the second half. And Michigan started to get a little chip here, chip it down to like 7 points, 9.7 points, then 5. I think Trey Donaldson hit a 3 after a Wolf, another layup or something, or maybe it was a Vlad layup or something. And all of a sudden it was down to 5 points. Okay. Man. Maryland got a really good playoff, a timeout for an open three by Gillespie, I believe it was. And then the next possession, they got it. And it was fortunate for them. The ball goes off Maryland. The ref calls it the wrong way. Replay showed it. But what can you do? The refs suck. They are what they are. Refs suck. That's just what they do. And yeah, they get that ball, and they get 3 points off of that. Boom. 6 points again, back to an 11-point game, just like that. Really deflating. But Michigan wasn't done yet. They had another little spurt in there, a 7-0 run this time, I believe it was, and got the ball, the score down to 2 points. I think it was 59-57. And then Michigan's ineptitude started again. I believe I wrote it down. There were 8 straight possessions where Michigan came up with nothing. That included, again, another 4 turnovers in that time frame. 4 straight turnovers. I think it was 3 straight in that turnovers possessions, but 4 overall in those 8 possessions. Danny Wolf missed both free throws. 0 for 1 on another possession. I think 0 for 2 they ended up going on shots. 4 turnovers. It's just terrible. Just terrible. 8 straight possessions when nothing was going on. And don't get me wrong, it's not like Maryland was a juggernaut and took off with a lead. No, it's like just, as the announcers called it, a stalemate. I think Maryland scored 2 points. And it was like 61-57. Then Michigan started doing, giving up the back-breaking plays. Down the stretch, it seemed that Maryland would just dribble the ball around between their guards and then do a little switch, because Michigan just switches everything. Do a little, ball screen switch and get a big go into the lane. Get fouled, free throws. Every time. That's really where Maryland won this game. Free throws. Now, I know Michigan had intentional fouls at the end of the game, but by the end, Michigan had 7 free throws for the game. 0 for 3 for Danny Wolf. Woo, Danny. And Vlad Golden had 4 for 4, I believe it was. But Maryland shot 19 free throws. That's a pretty big disparity. Now, I know some of those were intentional, but it's also not to say necessarily that it was the refs there, but it's also the aggressiveness of the teams. And Michigan is not an aggressive team. At spurts, they were aggressive. When they were scoring, they were aggressive. But if Maryland was set up, if Maryland was playing their 2-3 zone especially, Michigan was just not aggressive enough. They weren't. And Maryland took advantage of it. You know the refs always call more fouls in the second half. You're always going to get into the free throw line. And Maryland took advantage of that. Michigan didn't. I mean, just what it is. Now, another wonderful stat here. Sorry, my cat came over. Petting him. Michigan had, let me see here, 16 turnovers, and Maryland got 21 points off those 16 turnovers. Boy, if you just stop being so stupid sloppy with the ball, you win the game. Yeah, someone wrote to me, I'm sorry, the user, the handle name doesn't come to my mind, but they were writing to me on my last video. Does Michigan's lack of improvement make me question Dusty May as a coach? I don't think it does. Dusty May has a track record of success, but it is somewhat alarming. Maybe it's just that Michigan has the perfect storm against them right now. Earlier, they had enough talent, enough depth to get wins that they didn't necessarily earn. You might still turn the ball over 15 to 20 times, but you still were able to hit three-pointers and such. This game, they went 7 of 20, 35%. Okay, you know. But much improved over there, like 20% in the last few games. But Dusty May is also kind of hamstrung a little bit by having such a weak bench right now. Walters is still injured. You have Cheddar. He had 3 points for the game. I can't remember if it was Kason. I think it was Kason. Yeah, he had a fast break layup. So the bench had 5 points. 5 points. That's not going to get it done when Trey has 10 points, Burnett and Gale have 10 points combined. I mean, Vlad and Wolf had 40 points between them, and until the second half, Wolf was like just playing so scared. So scared. And again, he got benched in the second half. The first 4 minutes, he had 3 turnovers. He's just a turnover machine. It's terrible how sloppy he is, and I don't know why that is. If he's just used to that, I think he came from Yale, right? That maybe he's just used to playing weak defenses so he could do those dumb passes across the court that get easily intercepted. Maybe that worked in the Ivy League, but it doesn't work in the Big Ten, and he's played that way the whole year and doesn't change. I know he's a main ball passer, setup guy, and they had the nice little stat there that he's the second 7-footer to ever have 100 assists with Frank Kaminsky back when one of Wisconsin's super teams. So only 2 people in the last 50 years, right? But he's just such a turnover machine. It's so infuriating. It just seems like it's just a state problem with Michigan where you don't have a guy who can dribble and cause someone to double team. And their poor shooting also hurts that, right? Because if you double Vlad, no one's out there that's going to make you pay. Maybe Burnett, maybe Cheddar, but 7 for 20 again. That's not much. Cheddar, got 1 3-pointer. That's all he got. Some games, he's at 18 points. This game, 3. It's too bad. I was hoping they would have a better bounce-back game. That first half was pathetic. Good second half, but the hole they dug themselves and ineptitude for 8 straight possessions crippled any chance of getting the win. So Michigan now has to hope that Iowa can beat Michigan State tomorrow in Iowa City, I think it is. And then Michigan would be for a share of the Big Ten crown, because right now Michigan State has a share of it right now with the Michigan loss. So Michigan needs Michigan State to lose to Iowa, and then have the game in East Lansing for a share of the crown. Do I think that's going to happen? No. Michigan State's playing phenomenal basketball. They're just clicking right now, as you would want your team to be doing heading into March. Michigan, on the other hand, is scuffling. Michigan has lots of questions, no real answers, because this team was just jigsawed together, right? And everything that's kind of couldn't go wrong is going wrong now for this team. And I read a little pregame report that Caleb Walters' doctors and the Michigan doctors are trying to figure it out and such, and when he can come back, maybe by the Big Ten tournament. It's like, that doesn't sound very good. So I guess the one thing you can hope for at least is that after Michigan State game, which most likely will be a loss, probably another blowout because the team won't have a chance. I would expect Michigan State to win, and then that game Sunday means pretty much nothing in the big scheme of things. That the team will just do terrible Sunday, and then they'll have a few days off. At least they get the double bye, and then they'll have whoever they play, and however the Big Ten tournament lasts, and then you're in the March Madness, and it's one and done. So, I mean, win it and just win any way you can. You never know who you're going to get matched up with. That's what really matters. But I don't think you're going to win too much if you get out free throwed by 12 and you turn the ball over 16 times. That's not going to get you a win. No. Hey guys, if you have any thoughts, I know this was a longer video, more of a rambling video. So if you watched this all the way to the end, thanks. Appreciate it. If you got any thoughts, put them in the box while I'll try to respond as I'm able to. As always, I appreciate your comments. You and I are just suffering through this scuffle of Michigan, and we'll see how it plays out. I try not to get too, frustrated with it. It's only a game, but it's like still, my wife's like, what is going on? I'm like, she heard me say, she heard me yell, "What are you doing?" Vlad Golden fouled Gillespie, I think it was, with 7 seconds left on the shot clock with under 2 minutes to go. You're like playing defense, and then you go off and intentionally foul him. What was that? My daughter was being put to bed, and my wife could still hear me yelling. I try not to take it too hard, but man, I do. Hey guys, until next time, as always, go blue.